In tutorial 40, I demonstrated how a simple object could be motion tracked and a text string anchored to it so the text moved with the tracked object. In tutorial 41, I took it a little further by tracking someone's face and attaching a pixelated mask to it. In this tutorial, I want to take it further still. I'll be motion tracking two objects and attaching labels to each of the objects. I'll be using the same video sequence that I used in tutorial 41. Those of you who've seen this tutorial will know the subject. For those of you who haven't seen it, the two subjects are Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. I'll be using two masks to track both their movements so I can attach their names as labels. The procedure is basically split into three sections. First is the motion tracking of the subjects. Then comes the design and placement of the name labels. Finally, the transfer of the motion tracking data to the labels. I've placed the video clip on track 1 and I'll rename it clip 1 for clarity. I'm going to create name labels for Stan and Ollie, and these will be tagged to them using motion tracking. Before I do though, I need to view the clip to ensure that I place the labels such that they are visible throughout the clip. I also need to determine which part of each subject I should track. I've decided to track Ollie's mouth and moustache, as this area proved quite successful in tutorial 41. For Stan, I think I'll track his bow tie, as this seems to be visible throughout the clip. I'll tag Ollie's label to the left of him and Stan's to the right of him. As in tutorial 41, the change of scene will need to be addressed. Now for the tracking. With the clip selected, I'll open the motion tracking panel by pressing Alt-M. If you're not familiar with the motion tracking panel, I covered it in detail in tutorial 40. I'll ensure that the cursor is at the start of the clip, then add a mask using the Add Region icon. The mask needs resizing and locating over Ollie's mouth and moustache. To create a second mask, I'll use the Add Region icon again. This mask needs to be placed over Stan's bow tie and resized. At this point, Stan's arm partially covers his bow tie, so it may cause a problem. We'll see. With the two masks located correctly, I can start tracking. I'll switch to Region 1 first, set the mode to location, and initiate tracking. Okay, that's where the scene changes, so I need to do a little bit of work on this one. I'll cursor forward and move the mask back to Ollie's mouth and moustache. And continue tracking. Now, as you can see, the green line under the words motion tracked is complete. No gaps in it, so the tracking has completed successfully. Return to the beginning of the clip and play it. That's fine, no problems there. Now to track region 2. I'll select the region, change the mode to location, and initiate tracking. Again, we have a problem at the scene change. Now, as you can see, this is a bit of a different problem because Stan is moving off the scene. So I need to move the mask off the scene with him. Now it's off the scene, I can proceed to where the scene changes and move the mask to his bow tie again. Now to carry on tracking. Okay, now if you look at the green line, you can see there's a slight gap in there, and that's where the scene changed and it was unable to track. But that's okay, that's not a problem. I'll just go back to the beginning. You can see there a little bit of a problem. I'll just go back and look at that. It's tracking his bow tie. But then the newspaper comes up and pushes the mask over to his face. So if I don't do something about that, the label will jump there. So I'll come back, find where it moves off, and I'll use this frame forward. It's still there, still there. Now it's moving, so I'll move that back down. Move it across a bit. And down. Okay, that seems to have fixed that little bit. So we'll go back and play it again. Ah, there we go, jumped again. What I'm going to have to do here is to move that down and track from there. And we go back to the scene change. And I'll move that across out of the way. And I think that's done it. So we'll go back and play. Okay, that's sorted that little problem out. Now I'm satisfied with the tracking of both masks, I'll start creating the labels. There'll be two labels, so I need to create two tracks to accommodate the two text events. I'll now apply a titles and text media event to track 2. This event by default is 10 seconds long, so I need to extend it to the end of clip 1. This will create loop points on the event which need eliminating by clicking the Match Event Length icon in the Titles and Text Properties window. It's important that this is done. If loop points are present in the event, the transferred tracking data will be invalid. This text event will hold Ollie's label, so I'll just type Ollie and place a dash and a greater than character at the end to simulate an arrow. If you wanted, you could search for a font with appropriate pointing characters and use one of those instead. For simplicity, I'll leave it as it is. Don't worry about the size, this will be sorted out later. Now, I want the label to have a semi-transparent background to make it stand out from the clip. There are many ways of doing this, but I'm going to do it in what I think the simplest way. In the Titles and Text options, I'll open the Advanced section, select Background, and select a suitable colour and transparency. This combination will obviously be a matter of personal choice. Most of this background now needs to be masked out, so I'll use Bezier masking to do this. I'll click on the Event FX icon on the text event and select Bezier masking. With the Bezier masking options open, I'll resize the mask over Ollie's label. I now want to soften the edge. To do this, I'll select the Feather Style drop-down and select In. The feather slider now needs adjusting to give a suitable effect. I now need to add a picture-in-picture effect to the text event. This will allow me to resize and position the text along with its background. I'll click the Add Event FX icon for the plugin chain, select Picture-in-Picture, click Add, then OK. Using the on-screen handles, I can reposition and resize the label to suit. Once this is done, I can close the plugin chain dialog. Now, because I want the design of both labels to be the same, I can simply copy Ollie's text event and place it on track 1. This will now be Stan's text event. I'll mute track 2 to avoid confusion. I'll now change the text string to Stan, and because this label will appear to his right, I need to put the arrow first in the label. This label now needs positioning to the side of Stan. I need to go into the plugin chain, and that will allow me to grab the picture-in-picture effect and pull that down to Stan. Okay, now I'll unmute track 2 and show that the two texts are in position. Now I need to carry out the motion tracking data transfer. With the cursor at the start of the tracking, in this case the start of the clip, I can now transfer the tracking data to the text events. To do this, I make sure that clip 1 is selected, open up the motion tracking panel if necessary, and select region 1. I then click the motion track transfer menu drop-down arrow. From the list, I'll hover over Vegas titles and text Ollie, then select Vegas picture-in-picture. Successful data transfer is confirmed with a message under the green line. I'll preview the clip now to check that the label does what it's supposed to do. Now, as you can see, there are places where the label gets a little too close to Ollie's head, encroaches on his face. I think I positioned the label a little too close to his head initially. So I'm going to try and correct that now. I need to open up the plugin chain again. Make sure that picture in picture is selected. And what I need to do now is to disable the location animate button. That will wipe out the data from the motion tracking. I can now move the label a bit further out. And because I've done that, I need to transfer the motion tracking data again. Now I know that Ollie's is region 1. Okay, I will now try it again. That's better. Now for Stan's label. I'll put the cursor at the beginning of the clip again. I need to select region 2. Then the motion track transfer menu drop down list. And select picture in picture. Run the clip again. Now you can see there's a slight problem there. We'll just go back. At the change of scene, or just before the change of scene, Stan's label goes off the 4:3 screen. The rest of it is okay. I could decide to accept that encroachment, but for completeness there's a little trick that I can do to correct the problem. I'll close the motion tracking panel down because I don't need it anymore, and I want to insert another video track. And go to the solid colour media generators and pull down a black event onto it. I'll extend the black event to the end of the clip. I don't need to worry about the loop points in this case. I now need to apply a Bezier mask to this event. Using the on-screen handles, I'll resize the mask so that it just covers the 4x3 video frame. I can then go to the general options and select Invert. The unmasked area of the frame will now block out Stan's label. Now, I think that with these 3 tutorials, I've gone just about as far as I can go with the basics of motion tracking. However, I am going to try and put together another tutorial that will cover some of the more complex tracking problems that can occur and how to recover from them. At the moment though, I don't know when that'll be. I have other unrelated tutorials that I want to do first. I do hope that you found the 3 tutorials useful. If you have, please consider subscribing to my channel. I also welcome any comments that you may have. Until the next time, bye for now.